It all began with a series of urgent calls in the middle of the night. Panic calls from residents about large animals knocking over trash cans in their yards. Others reported wild boars running across the streets, disrupting traffic. When my patrol team and I arrived at the scene, the situation was worse than expected. Everything had been torn apart, trash bins overturned. Garbage scattered everywhere. Hoof prints were stamped deep into the grass. The wild boars had learned how to survive in the middle of the city. It was clear that my team and I would have to act quickly to stop the herd before they flooded into the residential areas again. As soon as we were assigned the task of stopping the herd from entering the city, we tried every familiar measure, building fences, setting small nets to catch stray individuals, but nothing solved the problem completely. The wild boars were extremely intelligent. They could easily detect traps and escape. If given the chance, they would come back and cause even more destruction. The team held an emergency meeting and we decided to deploy a large drop-gate steel net trap. This wasn't a small, individual trap. It was a large, circular enclosure capable of capturing an entire herd. We began a long-term monitoring strategy. Cameras were installed at more than 20 points throughout the residential area. We watched for many nights. Night 1, Night 2, the herd circled the trap cautiously. But after several days, they slowly began to lose their suspicion. The smell of the bait became too tempting to resist. Finally, on the 9th night, my heart started pounding as I stared at the camera screens. One by one, they stepped across the threshold. The lead boar entered first. Then the rest followed. Soon they were feasting on the pile of fragrant corn. I held my breath. The team leader looked at me, his eyes giving silent approval. He pressed the button. The heavy steel gate slammed down with a thunderous bang that echoed through the night. The herd panicked instantly. The quiet darkness turned into a storm of noise. They charged into the steel mesh. Metal rattled violently as dark bodies slammed against it again. Dust exploded into the air. The lead boar rammed the fence hardest, trying to break through. They ran in circles, pushing and climbing over one another in desperate attempts to escape. Shrill squeals, heavy breathing, and the pounding of hooves against the ground made it feel as if the earth itself was shaking. Some of them jumped high, trying to clear the fence, but the steel mesh was tall and solid. Each impact only knocked them back. Others tried digging beneath the fence, dirt flying everywhere. But the base had been buried deep. Every effort was useless. The entire herd had been contained. Through the monitoring screens, we confirmed that other trap locations had also succeeded. The wild boars were locked inside the steel enclosures. In the quiet night air, we exchanged silent looks of relief. All the effort had finally paid off. After tonight, the peaceful lives of the residents would return. The next morning, we moved to the other trap sites. The first task was checking the safety of the trap structures. Even though the herd had exhausted themselves overnight, We maintained distance and followed strict procedures. Some of the boars still moved weakly, standing together in small clusters within the enclosure. Finally, the official population control procedure was carried out according to state regulations. The veterinary and animal control teams coordinated to ensure the process was conducted quickly and safely for the community. Afterward, the carcasses were transported by specialized vehicles to a licensed processing facility, fully complying with the city's wildlife management laws. When everything was finished, the area fell into a strange silence, as if the intense struggle from only a few hours earlier had never happened. Our patrol team breathed a long sigh of relief once again, but not everything was perfect. When we later reviewed all the camera footage, one detail made the entire room fall silent. At the northern trap site, at the exact moment the gate slammed shut, a dark shape stood just outside the steel circle. One or two large boars, likely adult males, did not enter with the rest of the herd. They lingered outside the trap entrance, nibbling cautiously as if sensing that something unusual was about to happen. Then the gate dropped from above, the crash of metal echoing through the night. Startled, the boar turned and ran. After reviewing the footage, a quiet sense of regret crept in. Days of monitoring, calculating, waiting, and with just one slow step, 1 meter of distance, the circle of control had not been completely closed. But I understand one thing clearly. Control does not mean permanent elimination. Our job is to respond in time, to stop the danger before it grows. And every time I look at the camera screens in the darkness of the night, I remind myself of one thing. Out there, nature never sleeps.
The most frightening thing isn't that feral hogs show up. It's that they show up when there's no time left to fix the damage. When crops are fully mature, just a few nights can erase months of hard work. The real challenge is time, and it's closing fast. During harvest season, every delayed decision comes at the cost of an entire field. Many solutions that once worked are now showing their limits. Traditional traps can be deployed quickly, but they struggle to control an entire sounder. Feral hogs are smart enough to notice changes in their environment. It only takes a few animals standing back and watching for the whole group to hesitate, change direction, or pull away entirely. The issue isn't a lack of effort. It's that the old approach no longer matches today's reality. Under morning pressure, many areas have changed how they operate. Instead of dealing with hogs one by one, the focus shifts to controlling space from the start. Enclosures are set up along field edges, known travel routes, and around automatic feeders. The goal isn't to react when hogs appear. It's to limit every possible entry and exit before damage ever begins. This approach isn't about catching individual animals. It's about managing the entire sounder within the same window of time.
Nice.
When the sounder moves into a pre-established control zone, everything happens fast. The surrounding space has already been restricted, leaving little room for the hogs to spread out like they normally would. A few alert individuals manage to stay outside and slip away, but the majority of the destructive pressure is removed from the farmland in one move. Order is restored at exactly the right moment. The clearest results come from field edges and transition zones. Here, open ground is narrow, leaving hogs with nowhere to fan out. This significantly reduces the chance of them returning in the days that follow, creating a safe window for harvest. At the same time, control zones built around automatic feeders act as a managed draw. The hogs approach familiar ground, unaware that every exit has already been accounted for. This allows the operation to stay stable, efficient, and low disruption. At this stage, timing matters more than tools. Once the sounder is under control, the priority isn't escalation, it's stability. Every step follows a tight, deliberate sequence, minimizing disturbance to avoid pushing pressure into neighboring areas. The site is cleared, vehicles are staged at the field edge, and transport is completed quickly. The farmland is separated from the risk of reinvasion, clean, controlled, and secure.
Yep. Come on now. Well, there's a... Yep. Come on now. Yep.
When the final gate is closed, the most important outcome isn't the count. It's that the field was protected when it mattered most. By staying one step ahead of feral hogs, not in strength, but in strategy, farmers protect their harvest and reduce risk for seasons to come. Wild boars have been a massive challenge for farmers and rural communities across North America, tearing up crops, rooting through fields, and creeping closer to homes. Many have turned to expensive, high-tech systems. But what if a rustic drop trap, placed at the right time and following the pig's habits, could capture the whole herd? Here's how they made it happen. Discover the answers below. The rapid spread of wild pigs isn't just natural. Beyond their remarkable adaptability and fast reproduction, human influence has played a big role over decades. From past attempts to farm wild or hybrid pigs, to individuals escaping or being relocated for hunting purposes. The problem isn't confined to a single field or farm. Feral swine have been recorded in at least 35 US states, causing an estimated $2.5 billion in annual agricultural damage and control costs. In short, this is no longer a one-off nuisance. It's a long-term wildlife management challenge. Faced with mounting losses, the management team decided to take a different approach. Instead of chasing or using disruptive measures, they focused on observing the herd and analyzing behavior before intervening. The chosen solution? The drop trap. Simple in design, yet capable of controlling an entire herd at once. The trap isn't meant to scare the pigs. Materials were chosen to minimize suspicion. No shiny surfaces, no eye-catching details, just strong enough to hold the herd when needed. Cameras and monitoring systems act as eyes in the field, tracking arrival times, herd size, and movement patterns. Every decision is based on data, not guesswork. At first, the trap remains inactive. Food is placed in the same spots within the trap area for several days. This encourages the pigs to approach freely, reducing caution. Waiting isn't procrastination. It's a critical step in responsible wildlife management. Only once the herd's behavior stabilizes, the full group consistently shows up, and no unusual signs appear, does the next phase begin. This is the most delicate moment. One premature trigger, a few pigs escaping, and the whole herd becomes trap shy. The team waits for the exact signal, the herd fully inside and comfortably feeding. When the moment comes, the trap drops. Thanks to its design, the entire herd is captured in one sweep, minimizing the chance of stragglers continuing to damage nearby areas. The process is quick, precise, and safe for both humans and the environment. When the lights come on, the result speaks for itself. The trap's effectiveness comes not from fancy design, but from reading behavior and choosing the right moment to act.
Pretty good. I'm just kind of being honest.
I say.
Dang, son. I did not realize that hole was that.
The lesson here? Value doesn't lie in complexity or cost. It lies in understanding behavior and timing interventions properly. In wildlife management, acting at the right time and in the right way delivers far more lasting results than rushed reactions. Sometimes, the simplest methods are the key to balancing crop protection, community safety, and environmental responsibility.
I once heard people say, wild boars are devastating, but I've never seen it myself. That was true, until I went back to visit my grandmother and found the whole village losing sleep, not because of anything else, but because every morning the cornfields looked as if a machine had plowed through them. Sweet potato rows ripped from the soil, irrigation pipes destroyed, the damage repeated night after night, like a calendar that needed no appointment. That evening, I met the local control team. They weren't doing this casually. They worked as if they were safeguarding the rhythm of an entire region. I asked to follow them for a week to truly understand. When wild boars spiral out of control, the solution isn't reaction, it's strategy. The whole village was silent, but the camera screens were still running. The footage was enough to make anyone's heart jolt. At first, just a few. A few minutes later, the entire herd had gathered near the cultivated fields. They moved in order, in formation, with a clear lead animal at the front. Watching it sent a chill down my spine. They looked more like a disciplined raid unit than wild animals. It was a sign the system had lost control. And the strangest part, that night, they did nothing. I thought they were hesitating, but that was the first lesson I learned. Don't react too quickly, because if you rush, the whole herd will change its route immediately. The next morning, they reopened the camera footage to read the herd, the time of appearance, direction of movement, the spot where they lingered longest, the lead animal, and the number of individuals. Once they confirmed the confidence point, where the herd moved in and out consistently and with the least caution, only then did they set up the trap. They chose a corral trap. The frame was positioned precisely, strong enough to withstand force, and most importantly, wide enough to contain the entire herd, avoiding partial captures that would make the remaining animals wary and change their route. But what stood out to me most was this. Even after setting the trap, they didn't trigger it right away. The gate remained open. Bait was placed deep inside. The herd was allowed to move in and out naturally for several nights, so they would get used to the rhythm. This spot is safe, and there's food here every night. The cameras kept rolling.
Oh yeah. Oh, young boy.
That night, the fourth night of their plan, and the one I remember most clearly on the screen, the herd appeared along their usual path. A smaller group followed the lead animal in first, then the rest came after. They ate naturally, without the slightest suspicion, and when the last one was fully inside, the trap was triggered. The atmosphere inside the enclosure turned chaotic in an instant. Hooves pounding, snorts echoing, the entire corral shaking violently. The herd circled frantically, searching for an escape, but there was none. We sat quietly, watching through the camera. No one cheered, because everyone understood. This was the result of many nights of patience, not a stroke of luck. Throughout that week, I heard them repeat one sentence again and again. Handling one night doesn't mean it's finished. There are always larger, stubborn individuals that cause severe damage, often the lead animal or splinter groups. The team never acted emotionally. They monitored with purpose, responded with a plan, reducing risk for the entire area, not just a single field. What surprised me most was the regional coordination. Other villages shared data, which direction the herd moved, what time they appeared, which nights they changed route. Updates were passed along immediately, because if only one household takes action, the displaced herd simply runs to the neighbor's land. After a week, I sat beside my grandmother on the porch. The insects were still singing. It was still night, but the quiet felt different. Not quiet because the problem was gone. Quiet because we now understood it. In a moment of watching the recorded hunting footage with the team on the latest iPhone, I no longer saw a wild boar trap as something you set and forget. I saw it as part of an order,